Late one evening, a faint, heartbreaking whimper echoed under an old stone bridge. A group of passers-by stopped, drawn by the sound, but what they discovered beneath the shadows was far beyond anything they could have imagined. A story of survival, courage, and a secret that would change everything. The sound was faint at first, barely audible over the rush of the nearby creek. It was late evening, and the air under the old stone bridge was damp and cold. As Emma and her younger brother Lucas walked home from their volunteer work at the local shelter, they froze in their tracks. A soft, pitiful cry echoed through the night, a sound so raw and full of despair that it stopped them in their tracks. "Did you hear that?" Lucas asked, his voice trembling slightly. Emma nodded, gripping the flashlight she always carried in her bag. The siblings exchanged a glance, both feeling the same uneasy pull to investigate. They approached the bridge cautiously, their shoes crunching on the gravel path. As they got closer, the crying grew louder, more urgent. Emma aimed the flashlight under the bridge, the beam slicing through the darkness. At first, all they saw were scattered debris and shadows dancing on the stone walls. Then the light caught movement, a small figure cowering in the corner. It was a dog, but not just any dog. The animal was covered in mud, its fur matted and tangled, and its thin frame suggested weeks without proper food. It shivered violently, trying to press itself further into the stone wall as if hoping to disappear. But what struck Emma and Lucas most was its eyes, large, terrified, and filled with a strange intelligence that seemed to plead for help. "Hey, buddy," Emma said softly, kneeling to avoid startling the animal. Lucas held his breath, watching as his sister inched closer. Suddenly, the dog's gaze darted to something behind it. Emma redirected the flashlight, and what they saw made her gasp. Behind the dog, nestled in a crude burrow made of sticks and leaves, were 3 tiny puppies. Their eyes were barely open, their tiny bodies curled up against each other for warmth. The dog wasn't just a stray, it was a mother, and she was guarding her pups with every ounce of strength she had left. "This isn't just a rescue," Lucas whispered, his voice filled with urgency. "This is a family." Emma nodded, her mind racing. They couldn't leave the animals here, not in this state, but moving them would be a challenge, especially with the protective mother eyeing them warily. The question wasn't just how to help, it was how to gain their trust. Emma and Lucas knew they needed a plan. The mother dog's protective instincts were clear. Every time Emma shifted closer, the dog growled low in her throat, her body curling tighter around her pups. The flashlight's beam revealed her ribs sticking out sharply, her exhaustion evident in the droop of her ears and the heaviness in her movements. "We can't just grab them," Lucas whispered, kneeling beside Emma. "She won't let us. We need to calm her down." Emma nodded, digging through her bag. She always carried dog treats from the shelter, just in case she encountered strays. Pulling out a handful, she extended her arm slowly toward the mother, careful to avoid direct eye contact. "Hey, girl," she murmured softly. "It's okay, we're not here to hurt you." The dog's growl deepened at first, her body taut with tension, but as the scent of food reached her nose, her growl turned to a low whine. She sniffed the air cautiously, her gaze flickering between Emma and Lucas. "I think she's interested," Lucas whispered, holding his breath. "Keep going." Emma inched closer, her hand steady despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. The dog hesitated, her eyes darting to her pups as if weighing the risk. Finally, with a tentative movement, she stretched her neck forward and took the treat from Emma's hand. She chewed slowly, her wary eyes never leaving Emma's face. "That's it, girl," Emma said gently, her voice soothing. "You're doing great. We're here to help." Encouraged by the progress, Lucas joined in, placing a water bottle and an old t-shirt on the ground. He poured some water into the cap and slid it toward the dog, who sniffed it cautiously before lapping it up. The sight was heartbreaking. She was so dehydrated that it seemed she could barely stop drinking. As the minutes ticked by, the tension in the air began to ease. The dog's growls subsided, replaced by quiet, watchful silence. Emma extended another treat, this time setting it closer to her. When the dog stepped forward to take it, she noticed something strange. The pads of her paws were raw and bleeding, as though she had been traveling over rough terrain for days or even weeks. "She's been through so much," Emma whispered, her heart aching. "We need to get her out of here." Lucas nodded, his expression serious. "But how?" She's not going to leave her pups, and I don't think she trusts us enough to let us carry them. Emma sat back on her heels, thinking. Then an idea struck her. We need to create a safe space, somewhere she feels like her pups will be protected. If she sees we're helping, she might follow. Lucas nodded, pulling his jacket off. He began arranging it into a makeshift bed, while Emma carefully laid out more treats in a trail leading to the jacket. They worked quietly, their movements deliberate and non-threatening. The mother dog watched them intently, her body still coiled protectively around her puppies. When the setup was ready, Lucas knelt down and whispered, "It's all up to her now." Emma extended her hand one last time, this time holding a treat and gesturing toward the jacket. "Come on, girl," she coaxed softly. "It's safe. You and your babies can rest." The dog hesitated, her eyes flickering between Emma, Lucas, and her pups. The air felt thick with anticipation as she took one cautious step forward, then another. She sniffed the jacket, her tail flicking uncertainly. Finally, as if making up her mind, she turned back to her pups and gently nudged them with her nose. Lucas's eyes widened. She's moving them. One by one, the mother carefully picked up her puppies in her mouth and carried them to the makeshift bed. Each time she returned for another pup, Emma and Lucas held their breath, afraid any sudden movement would break her fragile trust. But the dog's determination was clear. She was taking the chance they were offering. When all three puppies were settled on the jacket, the mother lay down beside them, her body shielding them like a fortress. Her wary eyes met Emma's, but this time there was no growl, only a quiet, exhausted acceptance. "We did it," Lucas whispered, a grin breaking across his face. "Now we just have to get them to the shelter." Emma nodded, though her heart was heavy. "We can't carry them all the way back like this. We need a car or a crate, something to keep them safe during the trip." Lucas pulled out his phone, his fingers fumbling as he dialed the number for their shelter supervisor, Megan. When she answered, Lucas quickly explained the situation. "We found a mother and her pups under the bridge. They're in bad shape. Can you come with the van?" Megan didn't hesitate. "I'm on my way. Keep them calm, and I'll be there in 10 minutes. As they waited, Emma and Lucas sat close to the mother dog, speaking to her in gentle tones. The pups wriggled and squeaked, their tiny bodies nestled against their mother's warmth. Emma felt a swell of hope. This was just the beginning of their journey, but it was already a step toward safety. The faint hum of an engine broke the silence, and Emma saw the shelter van pulling up on the road above the bridge. Relief washed over her as Megan stepped out, carrying a large padded crate. "Let's get them home," Megan said, her voice firm but kind. "They're going to be okay." The mother dog and her puppies were finally secured in the van, resting in a padded crate lined with blankets. Emma sat in the back with them, keeping a careful watch as Megan navigated the winding road back to the shelter. The atmosphere in the van was heavy with relief, but also uncertainty. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was still amiss. "She seems calmer now," Lucas said from the front seat, glancing back. "Do you think she knows we're helping?" Emma nodded, stroking the mother dog's head through the crate. "I think she does. But look at her paws. Whatever she's been through, it's not just hunger or dehydration. She's been running for her life." Megan, always the voice of practicality, spoke up. "We'll have the vet check her first thing. For now, let's focus on getting them settled." As the van pulled into the shelter's driveway, a group of volunteers gathered, their faces a mix of curiosity and concern. The sight of the emaciated mother dog stepping cautiously out of the crate with her puppies drew murmurs of sympathy. "Let's get them to the exam room," Megan said, taking charge. She led the way while Emma and Lucas carefully carried the crate. Inside the brightly lit room, the mother dog was reluctant to leave the safety of her crate. Emma crouched down, offering her a treat. "It's okay, girl. You're safe now." The dog hesitated, her ears twitching nervously, but eventually stepped out, her pups trailing close behind her. The vet, Dr. Harper, knelt nearby, speaking. been in days. She deserves it. After everything she's been through, she deserves to know what love feels like. In the following weeks, Rosie continued to make progress. Her pups were growing stronger and more playful, their antics bringing laughter and joy to the shelter. Rosie herself began to trust more, her tail wagging more frequently and her eyes losing some of their fear. One evening, as Emma sat with Rosie in the recovery room, the shelter claiming to recognize her. His disheveled appearance and defensive demeanor immediately put Lucas on edge. "I saw the photos online," the man said, gesturing to his phone. "That dog's mine." Emma stepped forward, her tone measured but firm. "Do you have any proof of ownership?" The man hesitated, his eyes darting around the room. "She's got a scar on her left paw. I gave her that name, Rosie." Lucas exchanged a glance with Emma, his instincts screaming that something was off. "If she's yours, why didn't you report her missing?" he asked. The man's face darkened. "It's none of your business. Just give me my dog." Emma stood her ground. "Rosie is under our care now. If you want to claim her, you'll need to provide proper documentation." The man cursed under his breath and stormed out, but the encounter left the team unsettled. Later that night, Emma couldn't shake the interaction. A week passed after Rosie and her pups were settled at the sanctuary. Emma and Lucas returned to their daily routines at the shelter, but something felt different. While they knew they had made the right decision, both found themselves thinking about Rosie often. One morning, Emma received an unexpected email from the sanctuary's director. The subject line read, "An incredible development with Rosie." Emma immediately opened it, her heart pounding. The email began with a warm greeting but quickly moved to the heart of the matter. "Rosie has been an extraordinary addition to our sanctuary," the director wrote, "but something remarkable happened last night. We noticed her exhibiting unusual behavior near one of the far fields. When we followed her, we discovered something shocking." Emma read on, her eyes widening. The sanctuary staff had found another stray dog, injured and frightened, hiding in the underbrush. Rosie had been the one to alert them, barking insistently and refusing to leave until help arrived. The injured dog, a small terrier mix, was now receiving medical care. Emma immediately called Lucas, relaying the news. "It's like Rosie has a sixth sense for helping others," she said, her voice tinged with awe. Lucas chuckled. "She's always been special. It doesn't surprise me that she's already making a difference there." But the sanctuary's email had more to reveal. The injured dog wasn't just any stray. It had Over dinner, the sanctuary director shared her thoughts. Rosie's instincts are extraordinary, but I think there's more to her story. She might have been part of a similar operation before she ended up under that bridge. Emma frowned. You mean she could have escaped from one of these places? Exactly, the director replied. Her behavior suggests she's experienced something traumatic and is now driven to help others avoid the same fate. The revelation deepened Emma's resolve. If that's true, then she's not just surviving, she's a hero, and we need to support her however we can. The next day, Rosie led them to yet another location, this time a secluded cabin deep in the woods. There, they found more evidence of the trafficking network: chains, crates, and discarded documents. The authorities were called in, and the operation began to take shape. Emma couldn't help but feel a mix of anger and hope. But as the team worked, the sound of engines revving in the distance sent a chill through the air. "They're coming back," Lucas said, his voice urgent. The rescuers worked faster, freeing as many dogs as they could before the traffickers arrived. Emma stayed close to Rosie, her heart pounding as the sound of engines grew louder. Suddenly, the vehicles appeared, headlights volunteers comforting trembling animals, Rosie leading the way with her quiet courage. When the campaign launched, it spread like wildfire. News outlets picked up the story, and social media was flooded with images and videos of the rescued dogs. Donations poured in, along with When he returned, his expression was a mix of frustration and resolve. "They were definitely up to no good," he said. "We need to report this." The next morning, Emma met with local authorities to discuss the incident. She shared her suspicions that the sanctuary's growing visibility had made it a target, possibly by individuals connected to the trafficking ring. The officers promised to increase patrols in the area and urged Emma to remain vigilant. Despite the tension, the sanctuary's work continued. The team redoubled their efforts to care for the dogs, their determination fueled by the knowledge that every small victory brought them closer to their goal. Rosie's bond with Emma only deepened in the wake of the events. The golden retriever seemed to sense Emma's unease, staying close to her side and offering quiet comfort. Emma often found herself marveling at Rosie's resilience, drawing strength from the dog's unwavering loyalty. One afternoon, as Emma sat in the sanctuary's office reviewing adoption applications, Rosie nudged her hand with her nose. Emma looked up to see the golden retriever holding her leash in her mouth, her eyes shining with quiet determination. "You want to go for a walk?" Emma asked with a small smile. Rosie wagged her tail, and Emma couldn't help but laugh. "All right, girl, let's go." The walk took them to a quiet trail behind the sanctuary, a place Emma often went to clear her head. Rosie trotted ahead, her golden fur gleaming in the sunlight. For a moment, the tension of the past weeks seemed to melt away, replaced by a sense of peace. As they reached a small clearing, Rosie stopped suddenly, her ears pricking up. Emma followed her gaze and saw something glinting in the grass. She knelt to pick it up, her breath catching as she realized what it was. A small, engraved tag with the name Rosie and a phone number. Emma stared at the tag, her mind racing. Where had it come from, and how had it ended up here? She glanced at Rosie, who was watching her intently, her tail wagging slightly. "Is this yours?" Emma murmured. Though she knew the answer, Rosie had been found without a collar, her past a mystery, but this tag was proof that someone had once cared for her, someone who might still be searching for her. The discovery added a new layer of intrigue to Rosie's story, one that Emma knew she couldn't ignore. As they made their way back to the sanctuary, Emma resolved to find out the truth about Rosie's past, even as she prepared for the next phase of their journey. The small engraved tag sparked a whirlwind of questions. Who had cared for Rosie before? Why was the tag found so close to the sanctuary now? After all this time, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, was guiding the events surrounding this resilient golden retriever. Determined to find answers, Emma dialed the number etched on the tag as soon as she returned to her office. The line rang several times before a gravelly voice answered. "Hello," the voice said, hesitant and tinged with sadness. Emma's breath caught. "Hi, my name is Emma. I run a dog sanctuary just outside of town. I think I may have found your dog, Rosie." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then, the voice broke with emotion. "Rosie, is she alive?" "Yes," Emma replied, her voice softening. "She's here with us. She's healthy and safe." The man introduced himself as Walter, an elderly widower who had lost Rosie months ago. mission, helping them expand their efforts to rescue and rehabilitate animals in need. "You have no idea what this means to us," Emma said, her voice brimming with gratitude. "It's the least I can do," Walter replied with a smile. "Rosie would want it this way." The reunion marked the beginning of a new chapter for everyone involved. For Walter and Rosie, it was a chance to rebuild the life they had lost. For Emma and the sanctuary, it was a reminder of the transformative power of compassion and perseverance. As Walter's car disappeared down the road, with Rosie happily wagging her tail in the back seat, Emma stood by the gate, her heart full. The sanctuary had lost a cherished resident, but they had gained something far greater, a renewed sense of purpose and the knowledge that their work truly mattered. As the car carrying Walter and Rosie disappeared into the horizon, Emma lingered by the sanctuary gate, her hands resting on the wooden frame. The golden retriever's joyful reunion with her owner had left an indelible mark on her heart, a testament to the sanctuary's mission of restoring hope, one life at a time. The sanctuary felt quieter without Rosie. Over the past months, she had become a fixture in their lives, a steady presence of warmth and loyalty. But Emma knew deep down that Rosie's absence wasn't a loss, but a fulfillment of the sanctuary's purpose, to give animals the love and security they deserved, whether through adoption, reunion, or lifelong care. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, Emma gathered the sanctuary staff around the common area. They sat on the patio, surrounded by a few of the resident animals who had grown curious about the gathering. "I wanted to thank all of you," Emma began, her voice carrying the weight of gratitude. "Rosie's story wasn't just about her and Walter. It's about us too. The work we do, the lives we touch, and the difference we make every single day." The team nodded, their expressions reflecting a shared sense of pride and accomplishment. Each person had played a role in Rosie's journey, from her rescue under the bridge to the care and love she'd received at the sanctuary. Over the next few weeks, Walter stayed true to his word, becoming an unexpected yet invaluable ally to the sanctuary. Not only did he provide financial support, but he also began volunteering, eager to give back to the place that had cared for Rosie in his absence. Walter's wisdom and gentle demeanor quickly endeared him to the staff and animals alike, making him a beloved member of their extended family. Rosie, too, wasn't forgotten. Walter frequently brought her back to the sanctuary for visits, where she greeted Emma and the team with wagging enthusiasm. It was as if she understood that this place had been her lifeline and wanted to show her gratitude in her own way. The sanctuary thrived under Walter's contributions. With his support, they expanded their facilities, creating dedicated spaces for animals with special needs. They also launched community outreach programs, educating the public on responsible pet ownership and the importance of compassion toward animals. One such program focused on teaching children about empathy and animal care. Emma watched one afternoon as a group of local students toured the sanctuary, their wide-eyed curiosity a stark contrast to the challenging realities many of the animals had faced. This, Emma thought to herself, is how change begins, with small, meaningful connections. The impact of Rosie's story extended far beyond the sanctuary walls. Word of her miraculous journey and heartwarming reunion had spread through local and online communities, inspiring countless people to get involved in animal rescue efforts. Donations poured in, and more volunteers signed up to help, driven by the hope and love encapsulated in Rosie's tale. One evening, as Emma reviewed the sanctuary's progress reports in her office, she noticed a handwritten note tucked among the papers. It was from Walter. "Dear Emma," it read, "I can never thank you enough for what you did for Rosie and me. You reminded me of the goodness that still exists in the world, and you've given me a reason to believe in second chances, not just for animals, but for people too. I'm proud to stand with you in this mission. Yours gratefully, Walter." Emma sat back in her chair, the note clutched in her hands. It wasn't just about Rosie or Walter anymore. It was about the countless lives yet to be touched by their work. The sanctuary wasn't just a haven for animals. It was a place where hope was restored and bonds were forged. Months turned into years, and the sanctuary flourished as a beacon of compassion. Emma often found herself reflecting on Rosie's legacy and how one injured golden retriever had sparked a chain of events that transformed lives. On the anniversary of Rosie's rescue, Walter and Rosie visited the sanctuary for a special celebration. Surrounded by supporters, staff, and volunteers, they unveiled a plaque near the sanctuary's entrance. It read, "In honor of Rosie, a symbol of resilience, love, and the power of second chances. The crowd erupted in applause, and Emma felt a wave of emotion wash over her. She glanced at Walter, who stood with Rosie proudly at his side, their bond as strong as ever. As the event wound down and guests began to leave, Emma walked Walter and Rosie to their car. The evening air was crisp, and the sky was painted with hues of pink and orange. "For you know," Walter said, turning to Emma with a smile, "Rosie isn't just my dog anymore. She's part of something much bigger, something you built." Emma chuckled softly. "She's part of all of us, Walter. And she always will be." Rosie wagged her tail as if agreeing with the sentiment. Emma knelt down to scratch behind her ears one last time before they departed. "Take care, Rosie," she whispered. "You've done more than you'll ever know." As the car drove away, Emma stood at the gate just as she had the day of their reunion. But this time, she wasn't filled with longing or sadness. Instead, she felt a profound sense of purpose, a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness could create ripples of change. Back at the sanctuary, Emma joined the remaining staff in their final rounds, tending to the animals that called this place home.